We have right here an example of an int array. So we're going to do a demo right here with that. So an int array, and it's called numbers is its name. And right then it's just a null pointer, so we don't do anything inside it. Then we're going to initialize numbers, and we're going to say it's a new int array, and we're going to pass it 5 inside the square brackets. And again, notice that because arrays are special, there's no parens to call the constructor. We simply use the square bracket notation to say, how big are you going to be? So arrays, again, they're a very special component. Now, when I first create that numbers array, we're going to get something that looks something like this. Now, I wrote it horizontally right here, but it could be stored diagonally, vertically. It's not a contiguous chunk of space that we're going to be looking at, but we have references or elements to these spots right here. It goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that the last spot right here, index 4, is 1 less than the size that we tell it that we want it to be, or its length. And so the last index is always going to be length minus 1 when we're talking about an array. And when we create an array, it's initially filled with default values of whatever type you're using to store this. Since I'm using an int, the default value is 0. In fact, all of my primitives, except for Boolean, the default value is 0. If I'm working with Boolean, of course, then it's going to be false, but that's okay. So now I have numbers sub 4 equals 13. So what that's going to do is it's going to take the value of 13 and it's going to store it inside index 4 of that array. And so that 13 comes in here, it replaces the 0, and it's now 13. What happened to the 0? It's gone. It's thrown away. When we're talking about working with arrays, the previous contents of that spot, when I use that assignment operator right here, the sub 4 equals 13, whatever goes inside that, if I don't do something beforehand and retrieve that value, save that value, do something with that value, it just gets thrown away. It is disposed of. There is no save feature or capture feature attached to using an array unless you do so manually in advance. And so when I put that 13 in there, previous value of 0 is just tossed out. We have no way to keep track of it. We don't even know it was even changed. So you want to make sure that if you're ever making a change to an array, that you automatically track those values. And so again, when we're working with an array, we start off with the fact we have a name right here of the array. It starts off, of course, right there, it would be pointing to null. When I then point at this spot into array 5, it then creates this value set right here, and it fills it all with the default value of that, in this case an int, that are all filled with zeros. And then I can assign a value in that with 13. If I want to go ahead and retrieve a value out of that array, we'll go right below here, and I want to get the spot of the second index right here, so I have int test equals, and then numbers sub 2. And so that number sub 2, I'm going to go look at the second spot right here. I'm going to grab the value of that 0, and I'm going to get a copy of it, of course, because it's a primitive. I'm going to put that inside test. Because when I work with primitives, of course, all I get is a copy on that. And so I don't hurt what's stored in here at all. When I say number sub 2 equals test, I'm going to get a copy of that value, and I have that copy of inside test, and I can do whatever I want to it, and it won't affect what's stored inside the actual array itself. Again, the only way to change what's inside the array is use the assignment operator on the right-hand side of the square brackets, so we can say I'm shoving it into it from the right-hand side into the left. And that's the only way we can change what's inside the contents of our array with a primitive object or primitive value is we use the assignment operator. And so again, we have a quick little demo right here of how we can use an array with primitives and go from there. Stay tuned, we'll do this with using an object as well. Cheers.